Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Social Studies here at Allendale Fairfax Middle School. Today we're going to be talking about the founding of South Carolina, mainly dealing with the exploration piece of it. Exploration, again, was one of our concepts for this unit, so make sure you understand what exploration is. All right, we're dealing with Social Studies Standard 8-1.2, and if you have any questions about which standard we're on and what the actual verbiage is, you can always visit the history schedule that's on the bulletin board by the door. Let's get started. All right, this current thing that we're looking at right now is the map of North America, and these are the areas that were claimed by the European explorers. You'll see this several times during this particular unit. All right, so in the purple or the blue color, we have the English that took the East Coast, minus Florida, which belonged to the Spanish, along with Mexico and all the Caribbean were Spanish territories. Also, you can look and see here in the middle of the United States, you have the French claims, and in that light yellow color, up in Canada, there's a disputed territory, so we don't know who that belonged to. All right, we're going to get more into that later, but make sure you look at this map and you tattoo it on your brain because you're going to need to know it. Right, standard we're covering again is 8-1.2. It says compare the motives, activities, and accomplishments of the exploration of South Carolina and North America by the Spanish, French, and English. All right, so we're comparing. So we're going to do a comparative matrix at the end of this particular mini lecture. Your I can statements, which you need to get down in your notebook, are number one, I can explain the religious rivalries that led to the Renaissance and the technological advances that led to exploration. Number two, I can summarize the European, which means English, Spanish, and French motives in colonizing the New World. Number three, I can summarize the attempts made by the Spanish and French to colonize South Carolina and who led these attempts. So again, you can hit pause at any time during this video. Make sure you get this down in your notes because you are definitely going to need to know it. Okay, so again, you have here the picture of the New World, or a picture of North America, I should say, and the claims that each European power made on that territory. So this time the British colonies are in orange, the Spanish territory is in that red color, and then you have New France or France in the green. So you want to make sure you understand what areas of the country each European power claimed, all right? Okay. So the Spanish is what we're going to deal with first, Spanish exploration. So they had conquistadors. You should have learned this word last year in 7th grade social studies. These were soldiers, explorers, and adventurers at the service of the Spanish or Portuguese empires in the Spanish conquest of America. So they used conquistadors to come in and actually kind of conquer. It basically means a conqueror, okay? The Spanish also set up encomiendas, I think I said that right, or large plantations on which native people were put to work to produce more wealth for the Spanish master. So when they came in, these conquistadors, they set up these different areas out in the New Mexico area, in California, different places like that, that were basically large plantations where native people were enslaved and they were required to work, and they basically mined gold and they mined different precious metals and precious stones. And they also farmed for the Spanish, okay? All right, so encomiendas, you need to know what those are. All right, disease and overwork soon decimated the native population. So just like we saw on the East Coast when the explorers came in, out west and down in, Mexico area, etc., when they ran into the Europeans, that is, when the Native Americans ran into the Europeans, they were not immune to the diseases that the Europeans were immune to. So once they encountered those people, they got sick, basically, mainly smallpox and different things that they don't have the immunity for or didn't have the immunity for. So they got sick. Decimated means it kind of basically wiped it out, okay? So it wiped out the native population. So the Spanish explorers extended their search for gold and their claim of land into North America, establishing settlements in what is now Florida and South Carolina. Okay, so yeah, The Spanish were here for gold, God, and glory, basically. All right, French exploration. French explorers searching for the Northwest Passage sailed down the St. Lawrence River and claimed the region for France. So the St. Lawrence River would be up by Canada, basically, and they came down through the middle of North America, through that Great Lakes area, down the Mississippi River, and claimed all that area for France. A lot of what they did was fur trapping and different trade with Native Americans, okay? So the French established settlements at Montreal and Quebec. Those are areas in Canada. French traders established good relationships with the native people on whom they relied for trade in furs. So they did a lot of fur trading, a lot of furs, okay? That's the French. Frenchmen traveled along the rivers, including the Mississippi River, and claimed those lands for France, naming it Louisiana after their king, Louis, okay? Again, you can pause this video at any time. English exploration. So the English settlers were attracted to Virginia and New England by the hope for the discovery of gold and stayed to grow tobacco. So the English too were looking for gold at first, but once they got there and kind of starved a little bit, which we'll get into that when we talk about the 13 colonies, they learned how to grow tobacco, and that became a hot cash crop for England. Other English settlers were fleeing from religious persecution in England and founded societies based on their shared religious values. So you have people like the Puritans, who are also called the Separatists, and the Pilgrims came over here for religious freedom as well. Okay, and a lot of other colonies were established for religious freedom, like Maryland for Catholics. All English settlers brought their culture, including their language, Protestant religions, and ideas about self-government with them to the New World. So self-government was an idea that started to crop up with the English exploration and the English settlement in the New World. Self-government also sounds like a word that we talked about that starts with a D. Ding, 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 ding. Democracy, exactly, self-government. Okay, let's keep going. And remember, again, you can always pause this video. Hernando de Soto was one of the major Spanish explorers.
It's 7 o'clock.
There we are again. He was a Spanish explorer. He traveled through what is now South Carolina looking for gold. So we have a little map right here where you can actually see the path in red that he actually took. Okay? So he traveled up through Florida, through what is now known as Georgia, up through South Carolina, and then up through North Carolina and back down into Alabama, Mississippi, and out west. All right? So make sure you take a look at this map. And again, you can pause this and take your time and look at it. South Carolina exploration. So there's a lot of little people's names that are right there that you need to know about. All right, neither Spain nor France were able to establish a permanent settlement in South Carolina. They did try. Spain founded the San Miguel del Gualdape settlement along the Waccamaw River near what is now known as Georgetown, but they abandoned it. Okay? So you need to know that. San Miguel del Gualdape. The French founded Charles Fort near present-day Beaufort, but they abandoned it as well. So you had a Spanish try to come in and set up San Miguel del Gualdape near Georgetown, but abandoned it. Then you had the French that tried to settle in Charles Fort near present-day Beaufort, but they abandoned that as well. Okay, the Spanish tried again to establish a foothold and founded San Felipe, which was built on the abandoned settlement of Charles Fort. Right, so you can kind of see where Charles Fort and Santa Elena are on that map over there, a little bit close to Florida, but now near what is in present-day Beaufort, okay? San Felipe survived for 10 years until it was attacked by Native Americans, and the survivors fled to St. Augustine, Florida. Right, so those are the attempts for French and Spanish settlement in South Carolina. Make sure you need to know those. San Miguel del Guape, Charles Fort, and then San Felipe, okay? All right, also on this matrix that you're going to be doing in just a moment, you need to know each one of these settlements. So we'll check it out and make sure you turn that matrix in, and this is what it'll kind of look like. Okay, so you'll be looking at these different areas that the French explorers as well as the Spanish explorers tried to settle in. Okay, thank you guys so much, and do well on your work. See you when I get back.